Hello BookTube, it's the end of May, which means it's time for my May book haul. This book haul is immense. I went crazy. So let's get going. So the first three books I have are poetry collections. I picked them up from a Libris. I'm forgetting whether it was Hippo, Owls, or Discover. One of the three. So first up is The Man with the Night Sweats by Thom Gunn. This is a collection towards the later end of his life. Thom Gunn was an Anglo-American poet who started his career in Britain and ended it in the US. I also picked up The Anchorage by Mark Wunderlich. This is Mark Wunderlich's first collection. Mark Wunderlich is one of my favorite poets, and I long wanted to get his first collection, which I now have. And I also picked up Head Off and Split by Nikky Finney. This is a poetry collection that was recommended to me by Lindy of Lindy Magpie Reads. Back in April, Lindy mentioned that she, in one of her Friday Reads videos, went through a number of poetry collections that she read. And I left a comment that my own poetry reading had been up to that point rather disappointing. So Lindy was kind enough to recommend a number of poets for me to check out, and Nikky Finney was one of them. And I'm hoping to get to the others of her recommendations soon. Moving on to history, I picked up 5 volumes of history. The first 2 come from Book Depository. These are my last Book Depository orders. Well, it's my last Book Depository order because I ordered them together. So for those of you who don't know, and it's hard to imagine that any of you don't know, but Book Depository was an online bookseller based out of the UK that offered a large selection of mostly UK publications or UK versions of those publications at great prices and free shipping. That initially took a while, but the shipping speed improved towards the end of its run. Back in, I think it was late March, it was announced that Book Depository would be closing at the end of April. So a lot of us on BookTube, and not on BookTube, but who followed Book Depository, put in as many final orders as we could, and I put in a number myself. And these are the last 2 books I ever ordered from Book Depository. So first up is Lost Kingdom by Serhii Plokhy. This is a history of Russian nationalism. I also picked up The Brothers York by Thomas Penn. This is about the Wars of the Roses. Next, I picked up Ancient Africa by Christopher Ehret from Princeton. This is a look at ancient Africa to 300 CE. From Steve Donahue, I got Ramesses the Great, Egypt's King of Kings by Toby Wilkinson. This is a biography of Ramesses the Great. I wrote a review of the book for Open Letters, which is now currently running. And despite some quibbles, it's really good short biography of Ramesses the Great. And of course, the big that's annoying. Book I got, well, the big work of history I got this month, it suffered some page damage, is The Middle Kingdoms by Martyn Rady. This is a history of Central and Eastern Europe, and I'm pretty sure its style is very similar to Rady's earlier book on the Habsburgs, which is largely why I picked it up. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick steep pyramid because I won't be able to do a steep pyramid of the other books I have because I've got quite a lot. And I did this so that everybody would be in some form of order. So, okay. Maybe I'll be able to trick the computer or the thumbnail to think that was it. So, go ahead and move these guys back to where they need to go. So, moving on to manga. I went manga mad this month. I picked up a lot of manga. A lot. Anyway, so the first part of this part of the haul is going to be focused on the volumes of manga that I picked up from Amazon. And then the next part will be a flip-flop between pals and book people, which I will explain when I get to it. So first, I picked up from Seattle Goodwill through Libris, Nabari no O Volume 4 by Yuki Kamitani. So Nabari no O is a manga series about ninja in modern Japan. Mihoru Rokujo possesses the Shinra Bansho, a ninja art that allows him to perform certain ninja art, certain magical spells that are at a higher level than somebody who has no ninja training should be able to do. This makes him possessing the Shinra Bansho makes Mihoru a person of interest for a number of remaining ninja clans in Japan, including his local Banten clan, but also the Kairoshu, who have their own agenda. I really enjoyed. Well, I first read Nabari no, at least the first volume, about 10 or more years ago. But I know Nabari no through the anime. But I've been wanting to read the manga series for a long time, so I'm finally working my way through it. Now, moving on to Amazon. I picked up volume 1 of Chainsaw Man by Tatsuki Fujimoto on the recommendation of Criminale. I've been wanting to check out Chainsaw Man for a while, but Criminale's enthusiasm for the series really got me interested, so finally picked it up. I also picked up a volume 1 of Yu Yu Hakusho by Yoshihiro Togashi. This is a manga series. It's a classic. It's from the 90s. It's about a young delinquent named Yusuke Urameshi who is killed while trying to save a young boy from being run over by a car. In recognition of this sacrifice, Yusuke is appointed a spirit detective, basically regulating the relationships between the living and the dead. And he goes on a number of adventures. I wanted to read all of Yu Yu Hakusho for a very long time. I loved the anime when I was growing up. And I read the last volumes of the series years ago, but I really wanted to read all of it. And of course, there is an upcoming live action adaptation from Netflix coming at the end of the year that I'm quite looking forward to. I also picked up volume 28 of Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic by Shinobu Otaka. So, Magi is a manga series about a young magi, a young wizard named Aladdin, who travels a world inspired by the 1001 Nights, looking for friends. One day he meets a young cart driver named Alibaba, and together they capture a dungeon. Dungeons are magical fortresses and buildings sprinkled throughout the land, created by other magi in order to test the mettle of king candidates and other adventurers. When Aladdin and Alibaba captured this dungeon, they are confronted by Morgiana, an enslaved warrior working for the lord of the city in which the dungeon has been erected. His name is Jamil. And together, once she's been freed, they form the core of the series. I've really fallen in love with Magic: The Labyrinth of Magic. I've just recently read the first 8 volumes, and I've been trying to collect the other volumes as well. So I have volume 28, although this is not the last time you will be seeing Magic: The Labyrinth of Magic in this haul. So let me move them over here. Next up is volume 10 of Naruto by Masashi Kishimoto. Naruto is one of the most popular manga series ever. It's about ninja in a world inspired by medieval Japan. Naruto Uzumaki is the class clown, the troublemaker. He is also the possessor of, or the container for, the nine-tailed demon fox, a monster that attacked the village of Konoha on the day of Naruto's birth. Because of this, Naruto is a town pariah, but he's also a training ninja, and he desires to become Hokage, the leader of the village. And through trials, he becomes an apprentice ninja, and he makes friends and rivals, and he goes on all sorts of adventures. And again, this will not be the last time you hear of Naruto in this haul, because I have volume 10, this is volume 10, and I'm only up to volume 6, so where's the other volumes? I'll get to them. Next is the second omnibus volume of One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. This contains volumes 4, 5, and 6. And One Piece is, again, one of the most popular manga ever. It's about a young man named Luffy who dreams of becoming king of the pirates, and he goes on adventures building a crew and looking for the One Piece, the fabled treasure that will allow him to become king of the pirates. You can go over here. Next is volume 1 of Pluto by Naoki Urasawa, inspired by Osamu Tezuka. So, Osamu Tezuka is the god of manga. He really innovated what manga is today. And one of his famous series is Astro Boy, which is a series about a robotic boy. Pluto is an adaptation of one of the story arcs of Astro Boy, and an expansion. And so it's about a number of other androids, including Astro. And it's about an android who is targeting these great androids and assassinating them. And a German android called Gesicht, I think that's his name, is trying to figure out what's going on. I read this series 10 years ago and loved it. And I've often thought about collecting the series myself ever since, and I'm finally going to do it. So I have volume 1, and I'm looking forward to getting the other 11, well, the rest of the series. I think it's only like 11. And the final manga I picked up from Amazon is the all-in-one edition of Death Note by Tsugumi Ohba and Takeshi Obata. So, so this purchase was also inspired by Criminali. A few months ago, he bought the all-in-one edition of Death Note and read it and really enjoyed it, and that got me wanting to pick this particular edition up myself. I had long wanted to collect one Death Note. Um, it's a manga series about a young man named Light Yagami who one day picks up a notebook that allows him to kill people. And he decides he's going to use this power to purge the world of evil. I read the first few volumes years ago, and I've often thought about coming back to the series, and that desire has become stronger recently. So when it finally got around to picking up this all-in-one edition, I had thought about just picking up the individual volumes because I kind of prefer manga in that way, but I'm also thinking, space is also a concern. So I went ahead and just bought the Super Omnibus of Death Note. And it's going to go, well, I'll talk about that later. Okay, so that wraps up the manga I picked up from Amazon. So the next part of my haul is going to be a flip-flop between Book People, the glorious independent bookstore in Austin, Texas, and Powell's, the wondrous independent bookstore in Portland, Oregon, that I have been shopping with for quite a while. And I've talked a lot about my love of both Powell's and Book People in various videos. So I'm not going to go into that because this part might be a bit long. So first up from Book People, I had a pre-order, and that was Eden Zero Volume 22 by Hiro Mashima. So again, Eden Zero is Hiro Mashima's current series. It's about a young man named Shiki who was raised on a planet of androids. One day he meets a young woman named Rebecca and her exceed companion Happy, and the androids seem to malfunction and try to kill Rebecca and Happy. Shiki defeats the androids and, with Rebecca and Happy, flees the planet. And together they become adventurers. They gain a starship called the Eden Zero, and they gradually build up a crew that becomes, as the series goes on, more of a family. And I love this series so much. I'm looking forward to more volumes coming out. In fact, I'm pre-ordered up to 24, and I'm thinking about going ahead and pre-ordering the next batch of volumes as well. So that way I'm pretty much all caught up with Eden Zero. Put you over here. From Pals, I pre-ordered Demons of the Shadow Realm, Volume 1 by Hiromu Arakawa. This is Arakawa's current series. It's set in a contemporary Japan, and it's about twins, Yuru and Asa. Asa has been imprisoned all of her life in this weird city that's been kept isolated and culturally in like Edo period Japan, whereas Uru has been allowed to, or Yuru has been allowed to wander about the village until one day the village is attacked by outsiders, and the woman leading the attack appears to be Asa, and Uru then flees the village and tries to figure out what's going on. I read this volume a few months ago, or not a few months ago, I just got it a few weeks ago, and really loved it. I'm looking forward to the forthcoming volumes, which I have pre-ordered. Now, the last Saturday of April is Independent Bookstore Day, and I decided to indulge myself in order from both Book People and Pals. So from Book People, I ordered volumes 10, 11, and 13 of Jujutsu Kaisen by Gege Akutami. So Jujutsu Kaisen is a series set in contemporary Japan. It's about a young man named Yuji Itadori who is attacked by a monster one night, and he eats a cursed object. And this cursed object is a finger belonging to an evil sorcerer named Sukuna. And by ingesting this cursed object, against all odds, Yuji gains a bit of Sukuna's power, and also Sukuna himself. In the aftermath of this event, a group of sorcerers called Jujutsu sorcerers have decided to kill Yuji. But they are convinced to hold off on that execution until Yuji can eat the other remaining bits of Sukuna that are lying around. Because if he can tolerate it, then, well, might as well just go ahead and get rid of all of the pieces. And I really enjoyed this series. And I'm looking, and I'll talk a bit about it later, because this is not the last time you'll be seeing Jujutsu Kaisen. Because for Independent Bookstore Day that I ordered from Pals, I ordered volume 12 of Jujutsu Kaisen. I also ordered volumes 12, 13, 14, and 15 of My Hero Academia by Kohei Horikoshi. So My Hero Academia is a superhero-inspired manga series. It features a young man named Izuku Midoriya, who goes by the superhero named Deku, who was born quirkless. He had no superpowers. Until one day his courage inspires the greatest superhero in Japan, All Might. And this act of inspiration convinces All Might to grant Izuku his power, his quirk, because his quirk can be passed down. And this allows Izuku to be enrolled in UA Academy. It's a school for aspiring superheroes. And Izuku basically learns how to become a superhero while also being thrust into the superhero life due to the machinations of any number of villains. I love this series. I read the first 11 volumes a bit ago, and I really wanted to continue with the series, so I'm working my way through it now, because again, this is not the last time you'll be seeing My Hero Academia. I also picked up from this particular order the Seven Deadly Sins volumes 22 and 23 by Nakaba Suzuki. So the Seven Deadly Sins is a manga series inspired by the Arthurian mythos. It's set in the land of Britannia in the kingdom of Leones. So initially, a young princess named Elizabeth goes in search of the Seven Deadly Sins, order of superpowered knights who 10 years previously were accused of assassinating the leader of the Holy Knights, another order of superhuman knights, and trying to overthrow the kingdom. in the decades since, it's actually the Holy Knights who have overthrown the king and instituted a tyrannical regime. So Elizabeth goes in search of the of the seven deadly sins in order to solicit their aid in overthrowing the Holy Knights and restoring her father to the throne. And she does. She meets the leader of the seven deadly sins, Melodius, and together they go and collect the other 6 members, and they do succeed in defeating the Holy Knights. Although things go from bad to worse afterwards. So I've enjoyed the series. The last few volumes that I read didn't quite work for me, but I'm hoping that I can kind of come back and really sort of enjoy it more. So now, a few weeks after those orders, I was thinking, well, I have Jujutsu Kaisen 1 to 0, because there's a volume 0, to 15 and 19. So I'm missing 3 volumes. So why don't I just go ahead and order those 3 volumes? So from Book People, I ordered volumes 16, 17, and 18. So I am now caught up with Jujutsu Kaisen, and I am definitely going to be reading the series probably a good chunk of June and into July probably. So anyway, but not to be outdone, I did decide to do another order with PALS. So with that order, I picked up volumes 7, 8, and 9 of Naruto. I would have picked up volume 10, but they didn't have it. So that's why I picked up volume 10 from Amazon. I also picked up volumes 16, 17, and 18 of My Hero Academia. And I also picked up volumes 3 and 4 of Demon Slayer by Koyoharu Gotouge. So Demon Slayer is a series set in, I want to say either late Meiji or no, it's a Taisho. So it's Taisho era Japan, and it's about a young boy named Tenjiro Kamado whose family is attacked by demons, and all but his sister is killed, and his sister has been affected by a demon. So Tenjiro convinces the demon slayer to allow him to train as a demon slayer himself so that he can protect his sister and make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else. I've only read the first volume and I really enjoyed it, but I've since picked up now the next 4 volumes, or the next 3 volumes. So looking forward to getting to Demon Slayer as well. Now, I had thought by this point that I was done with the manga for May. But not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before, I got an email from PALS. PALS allows customers to place alerts for used books when they come in. And I did this for a number of volumes of Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic. So I got I pretty much got a barrage of emails because a number of volumes of Magi had come in. So I jumped because if you don't, you're going to miss out and then you will regret it. So I jumped. So I picked up volumes 9, 10, 11, 14, and 15. So this means that I have volumes 1 through 20. I'm missing volumes 21 through 27. Yeah, 21 through 27 I'm missing. I have volumes 28 through 31. I'm missing 32, and I have 33 through 37, which concludes the series. So I have about 8 volumes of Magi left to collect. And these are probably, some of these volumes are going to be difficult. So I was actually thinking about making a video about trying to find new sources, like new bookish sources to try to find these final volumes. Because some of them won't be, I think I won't have too much difficulty finding, but some of the others are going to be fairly difficult. So it's going to be, yeah, a bit of a struggle. So anyway, that was my May book haul. I'm going to go ahead and sign off because it's going to take a while for me to write all of these books in the show notes, as well as put them where they need to go. But anyway, I had a blast making this video, actually. And I'm really looking forward to reading all of these volumes, especially the manga. And I'll be back. Well, obviously, I'll be back tomorrow. But as for the purposes of book hauls, I will be back at the end of June with whatever I happen to pick up next month, which I don't know. Might be more manga. I might be going in a different direction. Who knows? But anyway, BookTube, until I see you tomorrow with a tag video, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.